talk about installing chains on a vehicle. It's really important to know what the laws are in each state that you're going to be traveling in. Okay, typically if you're set up for one state, other states will allow you, but make sure that you know the laws in each individual state. So in all of your folders, or in each one of your folders, you have a document that looks like this that tells you where chains are required. Okay, so this particular map is for Washington State only. Oregon has its own map, Idaho, Montana, Colorado, those are the states that, Idaho as well, are required to have chains. Back east, not so much, they're not required, but it's a good idea to have them. So if you look at the map, the areas that are in bold, those are the ones where chains are required. So if you have a load between Bellingham and Portland, for example, how many chains do you have to have in your vehicle? None, okay? Because there's nothing that is in bold where you're gonna cross any major passes. So, but as soon as you go to Eastern Washington, you can see that every pass is in bold, so you're gonna be required to have the correct amount of chains. Okay, as far as the correct amount of chains, you have a diagram on the back of your sheet that shows you what kind of vehicle you're going to be operating. So if you're operating a box truck, for example, you need to have 2 chains on the truck when chains are required. Okay, we operate a 5-axle truck and trailer. That's commonly what most drivers are going to be operating, is the 5-axle combination, okay, which is this one right here. Okay, so on this one, you can tell that you have to have 1, 2, 3, 4, you have to have 5 chains on the truck when chains are required. However, on a day like today, let's say it's between November 1st and April 1st, how many chains are you required to have in your truck? Obviously, it's not snowing today, right? So how many chains are you required to have on your truck on a day like today? Well, 5 would be if you have to put them on your truck. However, the law also states that you have to have 2 spare chains in the event that one of them breaks. So let's say that today is November 1st and you're going across the mountain and you get stopped in, let's say Clay Elum, or before any of the passes, and they have a spot check. They're gonna have you pull out all of your chains. All of your chains have to be in working order, which means they can not have any broken links. They have to be the right size. And you have to have 7 chains in your truck, even on a day like today, whether it's shiny, rainy, snowing, it doesn't matter. November 1st, April 1st, 7 chains are required to be on your vehicle in the state of Washington. Okay, so any questions on this so far? So it's a really good idea for sometime middle of October to get all of your chains, spread them all out, check the condition of your chains. For what we're going to do today, we're going to be using 1 chain. And what you want to do is set the chain out. And check the condition of all of your links, okay, to make sure nothing is broken. And all of the parts are in here correctly. Okay, so this is what you do before chains are required in your truck. Check everything out to make sure that you're legal. Okay, so another part of your tools when you're setting up chains is to make sure that you have a chain key with you also. If you're going to buy a set of brand new chains, they usually come 2 chains per bag. They're what, about 80 bucks I think for the pair, and they will come with a key. So you should always have at least 1 key in your truck. All right, so next thing we're going to do is set it up on the tire. And there are 2 different types of chains, by the way, when we're talking about chains. You have the single railers, which are easier to put on, but you also have what's called the double railers, which means that you, instead of having 2 long chains like this, it would have 3 long chains and another set of cross chains on the other side. What that means is that you're going to have to install the chain all the way on the inside of the axle. If you have a double railer chain, that counts for your 2 chains on your drives on each axle. So that would mean you would need 2 double railers and then 1 drag chain, what's called the drag chain from the trailer. That would be your total of 5. Any questions on that? All right. So we're going to go ahead and start installing the chain, and there's a couple of different ways to do it. One way is to have a block that you can put underneath your inside tire if you're using a single railer. If you're using a double railer, it doesn't really matter because you're going to have to roll over it anyway. I'm going to install it without the block because that's typically what you're going to be doing out there. So what you do is you grab your chain from the middle, leaving the adjusting clamps towards the outside. Bring your chain and put it up around the top of the tire. Okay, so once you have this set up on here, the next thing that you have to do is determine which way you're going to be rolling. Because if you're on a little bit of an incline, and you're already on ice, you're not going to be able to roll forward. Okay, so in this case, we're going to say the incline, you have an incline, so what I'm going to do is roll backwards a little bit. Before you do that, however, you want to go ahead and put all of your chains that are required on each tire, which means I put this one here, set it up, that one, set it up, around the other side, set both those up, and you throw your drag chain on as well. It doesn't matter which side you put it on. However, you have to remember that if you're rolling in that direction, you have traffic flowing right here. So even though you have to be over here for 2 tires, there's no sense doing the third one on this side as well. You want to put it on the passenger side of the truck. It gives you a little bit more protection instead of being out here on traffic side. Does that make sense? Okay, so once you have all of your chains set up, make sure that you have the chain underneath or as close to the bottom of the tire as you can, and then roll backwards a little bit. Safety start as always. Release all of your brakes and begin to roll backwards slowly. Once you've rolled back a little bit, go ahead and step out of the truck, check to make sure you're out far enough. I might need a little bit more space, so I'm going to back up a little bit more. Okay. All right. So now that we have the chain accessible on the bottom side and the top side as well, stretch it out as much as you can. The first one you want to hook up is the inside one. Good.
Okay, so one thing that's really important again is make sure you have the correct size chains for the tires that you're going to be operating. So as you can tell in the first try, we had the wrong size chains. So we got a different pair of chains. And you can tell this one's about 6 inches longer. And that's about what we needed. Okay. So again, these are for low pro 22.5s. These are for low pro 24.5s, which is what we have on the truck. And as I mentioned earlier, you would have to have both chains if your truck has 24.5s and your trailer has 22.5s. Very, very important to do that. Okay, so Jerry, you want to get closer to me? Again, put your chains in the middle. Make sure they're draped all the way around. Okay, so once you pull forward enough, again, take the inside. And connect the inside first. And then bring it around and connect the outside chain. Okay, so once you connect it, pull it over and lock it into place. Okay, there we go. So you can tell that it's already on there, but it's still pretty loose. So the next thing that you do is you take your key and you grab each one of these individually and you tighten it up. Okay, a lot tighter. Tighter still. And that's about as tight as you're going to be able to get it. Okay, you still have a couple more that you could tighten if you needed to, but that's a pretty tight installation right there. Yes.
Question: is there a sequence you have to do this in?
No, and the reason there's no sequence to do these in is because as you start moving, the chain is going to kind of reposition itself. So one thing that's really important is that once you get going on it, to make sure that you stop, drive about 10 minutes, pull over, recheck, and retighten all of your hose, all of your tightening methods here. Okay, that's it. It's that simple. You do this all the way around.
For things like this chain, it doesn't need the rubber to
Okay,
tighten with each other.
that's a good question. Is do you need bungee cords or the rubber deals all the way around it? It depends on how good you are at installing chains. Okay, this chain, for example, that's as tight as it's going to get. There's no loose links over here, so nothing's going to be out like jumping around and causing problems. Okay, so it's a good idea to have those bungee cords, and because what that does, especially if it's one of the round ones, orange ones, because you can hook it up from each side and have it all snugged up a little bit more. Okay, not required. It's a good idea to have. Okay, questions? All right. So again, it's really important. You put all your chains on at one time. Drive forward or backwards. Another thing that's really important to do is, as far as the direction that you want to put your chains, it depends on you. Okay. The first time I did it towards the front, and that was fine, except that this takes up a lot of space. It's really difficult to get to, but it's possible. So the second time, I put it so that I'm in between these two tires to put the connections. So this tire, I would put the other way, so that again, the connections are right here, and I can do them all in one spot. So you're going to be out there when you're required to have chains November 1st through April 1st, even on a day like today. But you're also going to need to put chains when traction tires are required. So if you read the sign that says traction tires required, trucks are required to be running chains, even if the pavement is dry. Okay, you're required to put the chains on. And then sometimes, even if it's dry, you have to put them on. Sometimes when it is snowing, you got to get out there and install chains. So for that reason, it is extremely important to have the proper clothing. Okay, have gloves that if they're going to get wet, you don't have to use them a little bit later. Your hands will get cold. You're talking about using cold metal on your hands. So have some decent pair of gloves that you don't care if they get wet. Have the proper boots, tennis shoes. Something like what I'm wearing right now is it's only going to make me suffer. Toes are going to get really cold. Your feet are going to get really cold. Have the proper clothing, and you either have pants that are made for that kind of weather, so that you're not going to get wet all the way through, or have something, a piece of carpet, cardboard, whatever you have, that you can throw in this area so that you're able to work without getting all wet. Okay?
What about a high visibility vest?
High visibility vest is also a great idea to have. Not a requirement, but wear that. You have traffic, like I mentioned earlier, you have traffic flowing in this direction. You want to make sure that people see you. Okay? And never stop looking at what's going on. Okay? Because you saw me right here, I'm working on my chains right here. And the reason that I'm working on my chains is because it's slick. So, if I have another vehicle that's coming up to install their chains, but they're coming in a little bit too fast, and they start sliding, do not stop paying attention, because you may have to jump out of the way. Okay? It's better let them hit your truck if you get out of the way. Okay. Any other questions? Comments? Okay, so how do you take these off? Yep, it's the same way. Just stick your key in there, and you turn it in the opposite direction that you tighten it. Make sure you get all the ones that you tighten. Undo your lock. Undo the inside. Take it out of the way. Because you have multiple chains, get them all out of the way, and then drive forward or backwards so that you can clear all the chains. When you're done, this is the item that gets lost most of the time. And then the next time you need it, which is going to be the next pass, you're not going to have it with you. So make sure as soon as you're done using this, stick it in your pocket or put it back in your toolbox. All right? That's it. Thank you, gentlemen.